Standard 7th, Subject English, Book Honeycomb. Lesson number 1, Three Questions by Leo Tolstoy, Part 2. So let us revise Part 1. There was a king who believed that he would not fail to serve his people if he knew the answers of three questions. And what were those three questions? What is the right time to begin something? Which people should he listen to? And what is the most important thing for him to? And to know the answers to these questions, he announces that whoever will be giving me the correct answer, that person will be awarded. Many wise men came and gave the answers, but the king was not satisfied with the answer. Then the king decides to go to a hermit who was known for his wisdom to seek his advice. Now let us see what advice did the hermit give to the king. In the last part we saw that the king was whole day digging, and at the end he just was out of patience and he just asked the hermit that if you are going to give me the answer, then give me, otherwise I will be going away from here. So at that time, suddenly a man came towards them. So let us continue from there. The king turned round and saw a bearded man running towards them. His hands were pressed against his stomach, from which blood was flowing. So as soon as the hermit told the king, pointing out to a man who was running towards them, the king turned back and he saw a bearded man. He was running towards the hermit and the king, and he was pressing his stomach with his hands, from which the blood was flowing. When he reached the king, he fainted and fell to the ground. So by the time he reached the king, what happened? That man, wounded man, he just fainted and fell on the ground. The king and the hermit removed the man's clothing and found a large wound in his stomach. As soon as this man he fell on the ground, the king and the hermit, they went near this man and they just removed the man's clothes. And as they removed the clothes, they found a large wound on his stomach. The king washed and covered it with his handkerchief, but the blood would not stop flowing. So what this king did, he immediately washed and cleaned the wound of that man and covered that wound with the handkerchief which he was having. But the blood was not stopping, it was still continuously flowing. The king redressed the wound until at last the bleeding stopped. But the king, he again redressed the wound, and he did that till the bleeding stopped. As you can see in this picture, how the king is taking care of the wounded man. The man felt better and asked for something to drink. The king brought fresh water and gave it to him. So as the bleeding stopped, the man he felt little bit better, and when he was conscious, he just asked something to drink as he was feeling very thirsty. So when he asked something, the king brought fresh water and gave it to him to drink. By this time the sun had set and the air was cool. The king, with the hermit's help, carried the wounded man into the hut and laid him on the bed. So by the time what happened, the sun has already set and the atmosphere it has turned cool now. So the king, with the help of the hermit, they carried the wounded man inside the hut of the hermit and they laid them on the bed. The man closed his eyes and lay quiet. The king, tired by his walk and the work he had done, lay down on the floor and slept through the night. So after carrying him to the bed, the man he just closed his eyes and he just slept over there. And the king as well, he went to the sleep because he walked and came to the hermit's place, and the whole day he was working and digging the ground. So because of that, the king was very much tired. So he also lay down on the floor and he slept throughout the night. When he awoke, it was several minutes before he could remember where he was or who the stranger bearded man lying on the bed was. So the next morning, when the king woke up, he was a little bit confused that where he actually was. So every morning when he used to get up, he used to be there on the bed of his palace. So when he woke up that day, he was lying on the floor and he can see a bearded man lying on the bed and he was lying on the floor. So he was having a little bit strange feeling and confused that what actually it was happening and who was this strange bearded man lying on the bed. "Forgive me," said the bearded man in a weak voice when he saw that the king was awake. So when the king woke up and he was just thinking where actually he was at that time, he heard the bearded man talking with him and he just asked for the forgiveness. "I do not know you and have nothing to forgive you for," said the king. So when the bearded man asked for forgiveness, the king replied that "I don't know who you are and according to me I don't have anything or any issues with you so that I can forgive you. You do not know me, but I know you." And when the king said this to the bearded man, the man replied to the king that maybe you don't know me, but I know you very well. I am that enemy of yours who swore revenge on you because you put my brother to death and seized my property. So the man he is replying to the king that maybe you don't know me, but I am one of your enemy and I have swore myself to take revenge on you. And the reason for taking revenge is you have killed my brother and whatever property my brother was having, you have taken all that property away from me. I knew you had gone alone to see that hermit, and I made up my mind to kill you on your way home. And as soon as I knew that you came to this woods to seek advice from the hermit, I just decided to take my revenge on you, and I came here. And when you will be going back at that time, I will kill you on your way home. But the day passed and you did not return. So I left my hiding place and I came upon your bodyguard who recognized me and wounded me. So the whole day I was sitting over there hiding that when you will come back at that time, I will be killing you. But you didn't return. So I just came out from my hiding place, and by the time I was coming to the hermit's place, your bodyguard saw me and he just injured me. And because of that, I got injured. I escaped from him, but I should have died if you had not dressed my wounds. So the man is telling the king that as your bodyguard injured me, I just ran away from him, but I would not have been alive if you have not dressed my wounds. I wished to kill you and you have saved my life. So the man is telling the king that I wanted to take revenge from you and wanted to kill you, but in return, what you have done, you have saved my life. Now, if I leave, I will serve you as your most faithful servant and will order my sons to do the same. And then he continues that from now on, as you have rescued me and you have saved my life, I will serve you my whole life as a faithful servant. And not only me, I will ask my sons also to do the same. So please forgive me for what I have done to you. The king was very happy to have made peace with his enemy so easily and to have won him over as a friend. So when the king heard this, he was very much happy to know that one of his enemy has turned into a friend, and that also without much effort. He just saved him, and from that, whatever revenge that man had, he just forgot about that, and now he want to serve the king. And that man from enemy, he just turned into a friend. He not only forgave him but said he would send his servants and his own doctor to look after him. So, in return, the king just forgave the bearded man and told him that I will send my servants to look after you. And not only that, the doctor whom he used to serve the king, he will be looking after the bearded man, as he promised to give back the man his property. And not only that, the king also promised the bearded man that he will give back his property which he has taken away from the man. Leaving the wounded man, the king went out of the hut and looked round for the hermit. So, after the king and the bearded man had the conversation, the king went out of the hut. Now he wanted to return back to his palace. So, before going away, he wished once more to get answers to his questions. So, before leaving the hermit's hut, he wanted to one more time ask the hermit about the answers to those three questions. The hermit was on his knees sowing seeds in the beds that had been dug the day before. So, as he was looking for the hermit, he found the hermit on his knees and he was sowing the seeds in the beds which the king had dug the day before. The king went up to the hermit and said, for the last time, I beg you to answer my questions, wise man. So, when the king saw the hermit sowing the seeds, he just went near that hermit and he just requested him that please, for the last time, I'm asking to give me the answers of that three questions. You have already been answered, said the hermit, still bending down to the ground and looking up at the king as he stood before him. So, as king asked the hermit to give him the answers, the hermit replied that you already got the answers to your questions. And while telling that, he just looked up at the king who was standing before him, and he was a little bit confused that how I got my answer. How have I been answered? What do you mean? So when the hermit told the king that you got all your answers at that time, the king was very much confused, and he asked the hermit that how I have been answered. You didn't give me any answer. What do you mean by this? Do you not see? Replied the hermit. If you had not pitied my weakness yesterday and had not dug these beds for me, you would have gone away. So the hermit is replying to the king that do you not see that yesterday when you came, I was digging the ground, and when you saw me, a weak and old person digging, you just pitied on me, and what you did, you just took the spade from me and you started helping me digging this bed for me. And if you had not done that, what would have happened? You must have just gone away from here. Then that man would have attacked you and you would have wished you had stayed with me. So if you had not stayed here and went away from here without getting my answer, then the man who was hiding on the place to take revenge from you, he must have attacked you. And when at the time of attacking, you must have wished that if I had stayed at the hermit's place, I would not be attacked by this man. So, the most important time was when you were digging the beds. So, the hermit is explaining to the king that so the most important time which you want to know the answer that what is the important time to get the any work done, that is when you were digging the beds, and I was the most important man, and to do me good was your most important business, and the person to whom you were helping, that was I. So at that moment I was the most important man and you were helping me with my business. Afterwards, when the man ran to us, the most important time was when you were caring for him. And the next thing, when the wounded man came towards us, the most important time to do any work was at that time was caring for him. And you did that at that particular time, because if you had not dressed his wounds, he would have died without having made peace with you. And if you have not cared about that wounded man, then that man would have died. And if he would have died at that particular time, you both would not be making peace with each other, and he will die as one of your enemy. So he was the most important man, and what you did for him was your most important business. So the hermit explained to the king that when that wounded man came towards you, that man was the most important man at the particular time. And what you did to him, that is when you dressed his wounds and when you helped him, that was the most important business at that time. Remember then, there is only one time that is important, and that time is now. So the hermit explained to the king that remember, there is only one time, and that time is now. So we should not be sitting and wasting our time thinking about the past or the future. So the most important time, it is the present time. So whatever we are supposed to do, that thing should be done in the present, that is now. it is the most important time because it is the only time we have any power to act. So, according to the hermit, he explains that the most important time is the present time. We can't do anything which has happened in the past. We can't change because that is not in our hand. And whatever it is going to happen in the future, that is also not in our power to act according to that. So, whatever we can do, that is for the present. So we should be living in the present. The most necessary person is the person you are with at a particular time. So the hermit continues that the most important person to whom you should be helping is the person who is with you at that particular time. For no one knows what will happen in the future and whether we will meet anyone else. As we don't know anything about the future, what is going to happen, or whom we are going to meet, how we are going to help, we don't know anything about the future. So, the time at the present time when we are with someone, that is a particular moment. At that time, whatever it is necessary, we have to help each other. The most important business is to do that person good, and because we were sent into this world for that purpose alone. And he continues that so the most important business is to help the person who is with us at that particular time, because God has sent us into this world to help each other. That is the main purpose of our life. It is not to hurt anyone or to how to destroy anyone by revenging each other, but to help each other and live a peaceful life. In short, the story teaches us elders are more experienced and logical about things in life. They are full of wisdom like the hermit in the story. There is always a perfect timing to do everything. This we understand as the hermit did not answer every time the king asked him the three questions. If the hermit answered those questions, then the king will go back home and be killed by the man. So, through perfect timing, the hermit did not answer, and the king did not go home and was not killed by the man. And the last thing, this was that which the author wants to convey us is the concept of forgiveness. Even the king knew the man he helped is his enemy, he still chose to help him and forgive him. So, this was the answer of that three questions which the king wanted to know. So, at the end, the hermit was able to explain to the king what actually he wanted to know from the hermit. Home assignment. Write down the answers of question number 1. Choose the correct answers, page number 5. And question number 3. State whether the following sentences are true or false, page number 7 in workbook. Here we end the chapter 3 questions. Hope you all understood the chapter. Thank you.